Hi, I'm Andreas, CEO of magicplan. Have been a project manager running restoration renovation projects in the past. So, overall that dates back quite a bit, but just the pure fact that you can capture doors, windows and whatnot, like everything that's on the wall, that was my very initial goal a long time ago. So that's number one. That's like 5 years of the past now. Then the second one feature that I really like and where I think we are in the early stages but expanding on it, like using what you've created, drawn, right, to create your estimate. That is this one capability where I say, okay, it needs to fuse the sketch with the takeoff and your bill of materials, and that we combine in the estimate. And that is something also that comes from this kind of direct experience I did or I had as a project manager and the problems I was trying to solve. So what are the most surprising use cases I've seen? Well, basically they're categorized in two different elements. First of all, like the type of buildings that people have captured. And I say buildings, but it has been boats, it has been whatnot. So that was some element that is always really funny or interesting. And then also just a scale, like full hotels, schools, whatnot. So that is like those types, they are just fun to watch at. And then I think what we provide is like an open canvas. And then it's basically the user is free to choose on what they need to do with it. And you see the craziest adaptations of the little icons or whatnot we have in the product of people just really fitting it to their needs. And that is just so nice because it ties back to once you have that floor plan, then you can start working off it. And that's what we also see in the product, and that's what we also see from our users, and that is really exciting. What's the interaction with our customers like? First of all, that is one element that we, I don't say love and hate at the same time, but it has pros and cons. Like we have a vast user base, right? We've been launched in the App Store in 2011, have been a kind of product for the general public ever since. So we have crazy amount of customer interactions, and they're coming from the different directions, all sorts of life, all sorts of use cases. So that is something where we've always been open and listening to the customer feedback. Obviously, we can't implement everything, but we try to really listen to our customer base and try to really give them the possibilities to kind of use the product as they like. So I don't want to single out one specific thing, but just the level of dialogue that's happening, that is really, we like that as a company. We try to be pretty open about that, or pretty open in terms of feedback. And that is something that has brought our product forward ever since. But it's not like one specific element or one specific thing that like we followed completely, but it's different influences, different use cases that we try and distill down to, okay, how can we make it most accessible, most useful for almost the general public. The one that's always fun to talk about is the crime scene investigation stuff, right? So there was quite early on the demand by some police departments to use magicplan as an in-field sketching solution for crime scenes. And we actually followed through on this one. And then I think it's more, you have waves and trends. So at one point, everyone was asking about, hey, can you include a 3D view? Okay, we had one individual customer who was really keen on it. General public asked for it, so we did a 3D view. Right now we have like 360 photos, okay? We included the possibility to connect a Ricoh, but we are likely going to have the possibility of just using for your phone for doing a 360 video. A next wave is basically, okay, can I not only include photos and 360 photos, but can I also include videos? That has been a repeat ask. And I think there are some waves of current customer demands that we try to keep up with. It's tricky to implement all at once, but yeah, you see some patterns and they repeat over and over again. So that is something that I could possibly talk about. It's a bit more specific. To me, magicplan is really the possibility to leave a site and have everything done, right? That is my ideal state. I'm on site, I need to organize whatnot, can be anything, but once I'm out of the door, like I really have kind of signed off of that project. Whether I need to sell to a customer, whether I need to document a site, whether I need to just take simple measurements. I want to basically have it off of my mind once I step into my car and drive off the site. No, I mean, we have been riding that wave of technology for the past 10 years. I mean, magicplan has been introduced with the first smartphones with cameras. We have seen LiDAR being added. The whole AI is now enabling our product even more, has been in the past. So I think the density of sensors in a device and the software that can kind of like process whatever you have on there is just going to ever evolve. And yeah, we are keen to adapt to this quite fast. We always also want to really have a combination of the technology and the user. So the technology is an enabler, but the user really completes the project, right? And that pattern we've seen for the last 10, 12 years. And yeah, I'm pretty convinced it's not going to change going forward. So technology is going to get better. We try and have that user input and the combination becomes something really powerful. So that's what we're trying to do. So something we have been the most, I would say, religious about or idealistic about is we want to have a certain structure in how to use our product, right? So we have this hierarchy in our data, basically, that we really want to keep and maintain. And we are pretty strict and not taking too many compromises around that. And I think that has been something that was okay in the past, but it's going to be super important going forward, because the future, like that, whatever you capture out there in the field, the more structure it has, the more value it has. And that is something that we've been pretty dogmatic about in the past, and what we also want to have going forward. And like one simple question you could ask yourself is, like, if you compare us to whatever other product out there, like how many data points do you get provided with the output? And I think we are scoring pretty high on the most data points, and I think that is something that we want to value. I know it's a very tech answer to that, but on the other hand, we are somehow a tech company, so I disappoint you a little bit, but that really is my key thought on how structured is your data, and that is going to enable whatever comes in the future. Well, I think first of all, like sketching, it traditionally has been pen and paper and a tape measure. I think that is somewhat over. Then with the report, you had a photo camera or your phone and a clipboard to fill out your notes. I think that has been over with. Calculator, doing your calculations, that's still something that most of the people don't necessarily do on site and do on the go. and this is something where, I think we are still going to see that change a lot in the future. So that's the estimating bit. That's also the one where I'm especially keen on developing. And then, like, going even further, I think I've hinted it a little bit. We see 3D, we see 360 images, we see video. So this whole graphical element, that's going to change massively. That is something that we see already. I think there we are in the very early phases, but that is going to be the big changer if you were to ask me for the next 1 to 5 years. I think first of all, we give room to grow. So we are a pretty diverse group of people with pretty specific skill sets, and that's what we encourage. I mean, that's also what we mention when we hire. We can't give you like a hierarchical ladder that you can climb. We're just too small of a company up until now, and also in terms of how we set up as a company, we are just very diverse. So you can't do step by step with us, but you can grow by kind of like learning and development. So that is something that I expect from myself, but I also expect from my team and the peers. And if you do that, and if you are like a self-starter, if you know that you want to develop, I think you have a great opportunity in doing this with us. If that's not your case, maybe there are other places that give you a more structured way of growing. And I think that's basically how we approach it as a company. And then me personally, I don't lead in terms of kind of very strict and closed boundaries, but I think I do give quite direct feedback from time to time. So that is how, like, trust is one word that you would single out there. You have room, you have trust, and then you basically need to fulfill it yourselves. That might not be the most satisfying answer to some, but that's at least how we approach it, or how I approach it. I really don't feel qualified to answer the question, what should young people do to grow in the tech industry and into a leadership role? Other than what I just mentioned, I mean, you should really be open to development. And then maybe contrasting to what I said about what we are as a company at magicplan, find an environment that suits your style, right? And try and learn about what your style is in terms of personal and professional growth, and then find an environment that suits that. And don't be afraid to be looking for some time. And then I think whenever you found that environment, that's great, right? Then try to make the most of it. But be sensitive, because I think there are different roles, and you need to have that match between the environment and yourself personally.